Elite intelligence organizations spend massive amounts of time and capital trying to calculate the future. Geopolitical planning groups, like Israel's historical Project Daniel, study the exact conditions to deploy preemptive strikes and avoid existential threats. That exact same impulse drives today's technology sector. Engineers train modern language models on massive datasets of human discourse, essentially mapping our statistical connections to simulate and forecast human behavior. In intelligence circles, this pursuit is often referred to as a looking glass. It is an apparatus designed for total asymmetric temporal visibility, allowing agencies to monitor vast networks, anticipate risks, and manipulate volatile environments. We assume we are inventing these predictive engines right now, but highly classified research dossiers suggest the ultimate forecasting machine was engineered thousands of years ago. Most of us look at ancient theological texts and cave art and file them away as primitive religious poetry or elaborate metaphors. Recent intelligence analysis indicates these records are being misread because they are processed through a theological framework rather than a technical one. When you strip away the spiritual narrative, these artifacts read as heavily decrypted technical manuals. They detail precise mechanics for multidimensional forecasting and timeline manipulation. In this framework, the universe operates as a deterministic software program. The legacy hardware required to actually execute that code is human biology itself. To understand how this works, we have to throw out our baseline perception of time and look at a concept called the layered block universe. This visual represents a static geometric manifold. Time is not a flowing river of cascading events. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously as fixed, mathematically deterministic coordinates in a single space. Think of it like a massive optical disc. The beginning and the end of the universe are already burned onto the physical track. Our daily consciousness is simply the laser, reading a single frame of data at a time. Under this model, prophecy is not magic. It is an act of remote temporal observation, achieved by moving the laser and skipping forward on the track. Historical figures like the biblical Daniel were operating as overclocked subject matter experts. They were lead intelligence analysts successfully indexing multidimensional data. We can apply this technical framework directly to historical anomalies, starting with the survival of the fiery furnace. The dossier explains this survival mechanism through localized thermodynamic management. A high-energy plasma stabilizer generated a dampening field that arrested the molecular vibration of the people inside. Without molecular vibration, their biological tissue physically could not ignite. We can use the exact same forensic breakdown for the famous disembodied writing on the wall. The floating text was a solid light holographic projection paired with an infrasonic neural broadcast. They used sound waves below the threshold of human hearing to vibrate the observer's skull at a specific resonance. This bypassed the eardrums entirely, translating linguistic data directly into the auditory cortex. The intelligence report models the human organism of that era as a tunable dielectric resonator antenna, utilizing flesh and bone as high-frequency conductors. The dossier identifies specific cave iconography, like this large spotted beast, as a hardware schematic for an owl engine. This engine functions as a binary black hole entanglement system designed to provide non-local gravitational power. To ensure the engine's design could sync with physical reality, these schematics were recorded in bioconductive blood and iron, phase-locking the architecture to terrestrial coordinates. The ancient past is a dormant machine waiting for the correct resonant frequency to boot up. That boot-up sequence is tied to a mathematically deterministic convergence point, tracked across different intelligence frameworks as the May 5th or 923 equinox coordinate. This animation illustrates what happens when we cross that coordinate. We enter a chronological singularity, where all branching probabilities and timelines collapse tightly into a single 0 point. This collapse is being driven by modern predictive AI. By putting these simulation tools in our pockets, we have decentralized timeline rendering. Millions of humans are now running simultaneous what-if simulations, actively directing the future in real time. Intelligence reports call this the melting motherboard scenario. We are flooding our legacy 1995-era biological hardware with a massive volume of 2026 multidimensional data. The mass fatigue, the collective anxiety, and timeline glitches we see in modern society are literal hardware overheating symptoms. our biology simply cannot process the input. When the data exceeds system capacity, it triggers programmed self-pruning. To avoid this systemic collapse, the dossiers prescribe a stabilization protocol known as active silence. You must intentionally shut down the ego-driven static. You have to actively anchor your biology in physical, offline reality. Touching the grass or helping a neighbor physically dissipates the data heat and grounds the system. We are the biological hardware running a deterministic simulation. If we want to survive the ultimate software update, we have to manually manage our own bandwidth.